Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon Frayne. We are back with another video. Today we're looking at what's happening with Bitcoin breaking out above $90,000. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button below, hit subscribe as well, smash that bell notification icon, and again, you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin waiting for you below this video. Grab it now down in the description, and let's look at what's happening with Bitcoin. So this is a nice looking chart here. We're currently seeing Bitcoin sitting at $90,750 with a clear break above the 200-day simple moving average here on April 22nd. Again, today's daily candle is not over just yet. We have another 5 to 6 hours before this daily candle closes, and we can see what was happening yesterday. We went right up to retest the 200-day simple moving average. We got rejected, but today's candle, which opened last night after 6 p.m. Central Time USA, started moving to the upside, and we're sitting above $90,700 as we speak. So let's see if we can confirm closing above that 200-day simple moving average with today's daily candle. If we can close above this level at 90,500, I think that would also bode pretty well, because we've got a little bit of resistance from all the way back at the beginning of March at that particular level. But if we can close substantially above that 200-day moving average, I do think that is a positive sign, and we could be ready to start moving through the 90s back towards a $100,000 Bitcoin. Again, this is not financial advice, guys. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Always do your own research. I am just one person on the internet with an opinion. But let's look at what's been happening here over the past couple of months super quickly. We have had Bitcoin getting all the way up to $110,000 by the time we got to the middle of January 2025. Since then, Bitcoin, along with the entire market, has pulled back to the downside through Q1. And one of the comparisons, or one of the leading indicators we've been looking at a lot on the channel here, is this global M2 Liquidity Index. And we can clearly see that with a 105-day offset, Bitcoin has been following global liquidity pretty closely. And because of that drawdown in global liquidity throughout Q4 of 2024, Bitcoin followed in hot pursuit about 10 to 12 weeks later, and we saw that peak up at around $109,000 on January 20th, followed by Bitcoin moving to the downside following global M2 liquidity until we reach this bottom here. Technically speaking, with a 105-day offset, that bottom is due to take place on April 25th, which we're pretty much coming up on right now. And Bitcoin has already started making that move to the upside, where global liquidity has essentially been increasing since the middle of January. But because of that 8 to 12 week lag, we're seeing Bitcoin starting to creep up and make back some of those gains that it gave up during that Q1 period. Again, if we zoom out here and just look at what's been happening with global M2, clearly a big increase throughout the course of Q1, and that increase and move to the upside for global M2 has not stopped. It's continuing to move in that upwards direction. So again, if we can see Bitcoin following that trend line over the course of the next couple of months, I think we could be in for an interesting Q2 for the next couple of months. Again, we did see this breakout technically happening here by the time we were at the 12th, 13th of April. We had a period of consolidation here and a little bit of a bull flag, you could argue, before this move to the upside, which is looking quite nice. And now we're seeing Ethereum, Solana, and the other majors starting to follow a little bit more. I think if we can see Bitcoin closing above that 200 simple day moving average, we can see the other majors start to follow a little bit more aggressively. So Bitcoin is up just under 4% on the day. Ethereum is technically up 7%. Solana is up just under 6%. And you've got SUI up about 9% on the day as well. So again, what we're seeing here is some of the majors starting to follow Bitcoin. And I do think we'll see outperformance on a percentage basis. If Bitcoin can close above that 200-day, we'll see these other majors continuing to move in quick pursuit. Bitcoin dominance has been increasing over the past number of days as well. So again, not everything is technically outperforming Bitcoin as Bitcoin dominance continues to march higher. Again, Many of you might watch some of the analyses by Benjamin Cowan. He thinks we might need to go a little bit higher here for Bitcoin dominance before we actually see a breakdown in Bitcoin dominance, which would lead to a more aggressive altcoin season type of move. Again, one of the other charts that he looks at is essentially total 3 minus USDT and USDC divided by Bitcoin, which is technically showing us the performance of altcoins against Bitcoin. And if we zoom out here to a weekly chart, what you'll notice is we might have a little bit lower to go before seeing that level of support coming in here for total 3, i.e. all of the altcoins excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, hitting that level of support before getting a bounce and moving back to the upside. Again, if we jump all the way back to 2021, this was your altcoin season move here during the first 2 quarters of 2021. But you had to see a breakdown in alts versus Bitcoin before that could happen. And what I've drawn in here is this level of support for where we've seen that support coming in multiple times, with a little bit of an exception here to the downside over the past number of years. And again, maybe we don't have to go all the way down there, but you can see that we are pulling back over the past couple of months with alts performing against Bitcoin. This is kind of like the inverse of the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we might need to find a little bit closer to this level of support before getting that more aggressive move to the upside. So again, we will be monitoring that on the channel over the coming weeks. Make sure to subscribe below. Drop me a comment if you want me to take a look at any specific assets you might be holding in your bull run bag. And just as I'm speaking here, Bitcoin once again getting back above that $91,000 mark. So we're flirting with that $91,000 level. Again, we've got a few hours until the close of today's daily candle to try and confirm this breakout and closure above the 200-day simple moving average. We did threaten this multiple times over the course of March, where we got up above it, but we came back down. We got above it again. We got rejected from the trend, and we came back down again. But this is the first time that we are above the downtrend that we've been in since the beginning of January, and we are retesting that 200-day. So the fact that we had the breakout from the downtrend and now we're moving above the 200-day, I think does bode pretty well for what might happen over the next couple of months. If we zoom all the way back here to October of 2024, when we officially did get Bitcoin breaking out above the 200-day, consolidating before a move higher, that was the catalyst for a much bigger move to the upside. And again, if we measure that point breaking out above the 200-day simple moving average, Bitcoin went on to make a 70% move in a 64-day period. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen this time around, but it's interesting to draw that comparison of last time we did get that big candle closing above the 200-day. It allowed us to consolidate for a few weeks before moving much higher with a 70% move. If we were to map that out and think about Bitcoin making some type of similar move here over the next 64 days, I think it was on that particular chart, if we're thinking about Bitcoin making that type of move, I need a little bit more room on the chart here. But if Bitcoin is to make anything close to a 70% move over the next 64 days, that's going to be putting you somewhere around $150,000. Again, I think that is unlikely, but I'm just trying to draw the comparison and think about what could be possible. Even if we only make a 25% move, that brings us back up to retest these previous all-time highs and move into price discovery if Bitcoin can get above $109,500. So very exciting times ahead, in my opinion. I think we do need to see other moves being made, potentially with quantitative easing, to have a much more aggressive rally through Q3 and Q4. But global M2 is looking nice. Bitcoin is beginning to follow global M2. And if we can close above this level, we could be in for a bigger move to the upside. Let's wait and see what happens. That is it for today's video, guys. As always, today's video is sponsored by Femex, the most efficient crypto trading and investment platform. I'm going to leave a referral link for Femex down in the description below this video. Check it out for yourself. As I said, this is not financial advice. Always do your own research from a fundamental perspective and a technical perspective on the charts. Do your own research. And again, as I said, if you got any value out of today's video at all, please hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon, and make sure to grab your completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin below this video. Grab it now, and we'll catch you in the next one.